At the end of the day, this is not a good move, but at the same time, I think it is worthwhile remembering the economy has enough momentum to kind of live through it. So we will shave off. We are clearly increasing the risks, I think, and the risks are really on the capital investment front far more than consumption.
And that is the big question.
Yes.
We've already seen a weakness in capital expenditure.
Yeah, so I think that is really the key. That is, we are not just jeopardizing the growth today, we are jeopardizing future growth, and that is playing with fire. So I think the expectation the market still has, if I had told you 3 months ago that we will have a full-fledged trade war and the markets would be down 5-6%, I don't think you would have believed that. And I think what that is telling you is the fact that markets are still expecting that we'll reach some sort of a resolution. Mr. Santelli is right, because...
Krishna, President Trump famously told Joe Kernan, I want to say, in the summer of 2017, or was that 2018? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
That you sat down with him?
Steve, I can't remember yesterday.
Remember he told you that we're playing with house money on tariffs?
Oh, yeah.
Are we still playing with house money when it comes to growth, when it comes to the stock market?
Well, at the end of the day, tariffs are taxation. It's fiscal consolidation. And the only people who end up paying on all of that are the U.S. consumers and U.S. companies. There's no doubt about that. That's basic economics. I think the bottom line, though, is the markets are still expecting some sort of a resolution. And I think as long as that is the case, the markets will probably hold these levels.
Here's another issue that concerns me longer term, just from capital expenditures. We thought because of the tax cuts that we would see corporations putting more back into capital expenditures.
Good point.
This is going to be the counter effect to that. So you're never going to get a clean sort of experiment on what happens.
Until these CEOs and CFOs get some GPS on what lies ahead 2 or 3 or 4 quarters. Certainly, they're not going to commit. It would be foolhardy.
Doesn't that strike you as bizarre that a president who, in my opinion, has done more to foster capital spending by companies, has, on the other hand, done as much to reduce it?
Well, I was talking to Black & Decker's CEO, Stanley Black & Decker, and basically his interpretation was, obviously not with the Mexican element, but with the Chinese element, is that, listen, it doesn't matter to him now how it works out. He's going to diversify all his supply lines, and that is going to be something that's good, just like your portfolio.
But you had guys who were saying, oh, well, let's move to Mexico. Oh, remember that order for Mexico? Let's change that this morning.
I think the bigger concern is how complicated the supply chain is when it comes to the auto parts. For Michigan, they get more than $15 billion of intermediate parts that are coming from Mexico. For Texas, it's $6 billion. For Tennessee, it's $2 billion. For Kentucky, it's $1.6 billion. These are parts that go back and forth multiple times across the border. And that becomes really difficult to try and...
Now we are not talking about imports. We are talking about core of U.S. production. I think Mexico, with China, we were talking about things like things that we import and things that we consume. Finished products. Now we are talking about auto production. I think the impact of auto production in the U.S. economy is significantly higher than what it would be for a few TV sets or things like that. So this is not a good outcome by any measure. I think the markets still believe that we'll reach some sort of a settlement, and then we'll probably go up from there after we do that.
10 days.
10
I'll
days
tell you what,
to what?
He does get kind of clever, though. Okay? Before anything actually goes into effect, he has a lot of wiggle room in the way all of these tariffs are implemented. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Listen, the president doesn't get any help on his key issues. One of the few politicians where he gave you a list when he ran for president. I want to do this, 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 and this. And he actually walks around and tries to put a check mark on it. Immigration is something he's not getting any help on. The guy is desperate to try to make a difference. Would I do it? I don't know. I'm not in his situation, but I still think everybody is underestimating the notion. You're looking at the costs in the here and now. What are the costs in the grand picture on all these big deals a generation down the road? Somebody needs to think that way. The Chinese certainly do.
Well, I think from a trade policy standpoint, do we have to do things to bring change? Absolutely. Imposing unilateral tariffs, is that the best way to get there? I'm not so sure.
How do you get their attention?
Well, I think there are lots of ways of getting their attention.
Give me 2 examples.
Which is engaging with them in a far more productive way, as somebody was saying before.
Like we've done for the last couple of decades?
Well, I think they get the seriousness of this president. But at the same time...
But why are they getting the seriousness? Because he's a strange guy, and he gets very aggressive out of left field.
The idea that negotiation hasn't worked is a great myth of the Trump administration. Let me tell you what negotiations have done. On the highest level, they have kept the bullets from flying and the armies from marching. That's in the first and the highest level. On the second level, they've opened up markets, created vast opportunities for wealth in this country and in other countries. Global growth, U.S. growth have both done well because we have negotiated and cooperated. Along comes President Trump, who has essentially rewritten the last 20 years and said, nothing that came before me has worked. It sounds like almost a religious entry into a Bible.
I don't look at status quo as religion, so you can just stop there. That's not my thing. I like to think outside the box, and I like to get resolutions.
It's a myth.
And having decades of ambassadors that tell you, we know how to do it, we're making progress, but they never end up in the promised land. Never.
Well, I don't think we'll get to the promised land if we have a recession in the U.S. either.
We're bound to have a recession some point. Well, None of us want to die, but we will someday.
I think
recessions are therapeutic. One of the big problems in the world is
recessions are not therapeutic.
Put a cork in it.
Recessions are not therapeutic by any measure. Recessions are not therapeutic.
Unilateral tariffs are in response to existing unilateral tariffs that were already there. So that's
I think you can separate China
too.
from Mexico too.
I think
a lot of people
tariffs were one-sided before. Now these are an answer to. So they're not unilateral.
With Mexico, that's playing with real fire.